Chapter 9. 3 Ideas. So, what now? Jean Betancourt asked. She was sitting on a flat, wide rock next to Minos while Acorn stood nearby. All three were gazing at the imposing river that flowed in front of them. Its water was clear, impossibly clear, almost painfully clear, almost invisible. In fact, if not for the sound of rushing water, they might not have known that there was a river there at all. On the river's other bank, there hung a silvery mist obscuring everything, but occasionally thinning in patches, offering a tantalizing glimpse of, and then it was gone. But the bank where the three exiles of hell sat was sunny and warm, grassy, speckled with wildflowers, obscenely pastoral and picturesque, menacingly peaceful. Neither Minos nor Acorn answered Jean's question. All three of them needed this moment of rest after Acorn's frantic gallop away from Dirk, through the forests of hell, book still held in Acorn's teeth, plunging deeper into it until they were enveloped in a darkness beyond darkness, not just an absence of light, but a thing in and of itself, darkness with a capital D, that stretched on in a way that defied time, space, direction, and then out of it again, bursting through, being reborn, emerging on a seashore, coming out of the ocean, but not wet, unbaptized, onto the beach, the sand turning to molten glass beneath each strike of Acorn's hooves, still hurtling forward, unstoppable, galloping, flying over the beach, reaching a mountain steep and rocky, unclimbable, but Acorn climbed it, finding hidden paths, or else moving the rocks out of his way by willpower alone, or else the mountain itself shifting of its own will to allow the pony to climb it, respecting his motion, forever forward, and now up, anticipation not of death, still forward, still up, towards an unseen peak, shrouded in clouds, up, forward, the cat and the woman clinging to this monster, this machine, up, forward, monstrous machine, through the clouds, now seeing the sun for the first time into a forest. But how could a forest be this high up, they thought, through the forest, still climbing, but not a forest like that bleached skeletal mockery of hell, but a forest of green and brown, still silent, but a silence of anticipation, not of death. Still forward, still up, the grass scorching as Acorn ran over it, but flowers springing out of the ground behind the pony once he had passed, trail in inverse, a testament to his journey until the whole forest was blooming, sprouting, growing around them, the sound of wood creaking and straining as Acorn swept past it, bringing a sudden burst of time to this timeless place, giving it that modifying spark that it had so long needed. But Acorn couldn't stop to appreciate the consequences of his own being, because he was still moving forward, up, until the trees began to thin, until he reached a bright meadow, sunny and warm, getting nearer, or so it seemed, only Acorn knew, further up, always up, the light of the sun above him, not a thing in and of itself, but an absence of darkness, and what a merciful absence it was, the field stretching on, Acorn galloping forward, until he saw a river, and then Acorn stopped. They had escaped. Minos immediately jumped off Acorn's back, landing lightly on the ground, and began grooming himself. Jean Betancourt followed suit. The jumping off Acorn, that is, not the grooming part. Betancourt took a deep breath of this living air, and took a few steps towards the preternatural stream. She noted the fact that Acorn did not drink from it, even though he was still panting from exertion after his impossible run. She peered at the other bank of the river, and saw nothing but a silvery mist, obscuring everything, but occasionally thinning in patches, offering a tantalizing glimpse of, and then it was gone. The author stood on a wide flat rock that overlooked the river, and Minos jumped up to join her. Acorn stood nearby. Jean Betancourt asked, "So now what?" Time has a tendency to become palindromic in this place. "Now the two of you do what you are meant to do," Acorn said, his speech muffled by the thin book he still held between his mighty teeth. He trotted around the boulder to face the woman and the cat, and dropped the book on the ground in the middle of this newly formed triangle. "We're going to judge." Pam, Pawnee, and Dirk all looked at Anna blankly. "You're dyslexic?" Dirk finally said. "Top of page 11, Anna said triumphantly. "Anna is dyslexic, so reading and writing are difficult for her. I would tell you to check for yourself, but if I recall, you're distinctly bookless at the moment." "Okay, fine, sure," Dirk said. "Congratulations on your developmental disorder. Mazel tov. But how is that in any way relevant to this situation?" "Christ," Anna sighed. "For someone who's so fond of throwing data around at every opportunity, you're not very quick on the uptake here. All theory, no practice, I suppose." "Oh," Dirk said quietly. And there it is, Anna said. She looked at her friends and pointed at Dirk. See that, girls? That's the face of someone who just realized exactly how deep in the shit he is. Jesus, Anna, stop being smug and just tell us what the fuck is happening, Pawnee said. She's deconstructing reality, Dirk explained to the Indianian city, literally deconstructing it. In the world of a text, dyslexia must be like, not even a superpower, more than that. It's like having all the cheat codes. Building blocks of this world are words, and the words are less stable to her than they are to us. She can take the words or the world apart, mix up the words, mix up the pieces, flip them around, recombine them, and then put them back into place as she sees fit. Decontextualize, then recontextualize the text. Context itself is meaningless to her. Her very existence is not contextual, but contextual, working against the text. Am I right? Anna shrugged. Yeah, more or less. I would have phrased it more like it means I can fuck shit up like no other, but I guess that's the difference between us. Oh, sorry. The différence between us. That's a good pun, Dirk begrudgingly admitted. Thank you, Anna said. Pawnee and Pam high-fived behind her back. And the best part is, I never would have realized that I have this power if you hadn't killed me. Like I said, when you sent me to the other side of the other side, I passed through all the texts surrounding this one. But I didn't go smoothly. My dyslexia made them rough, I guess. More textured, as you'd probably like to put it. The words that build them are more mutable to me, and I kept getting caught on their jagged edges. Edges that would be invisible to you, that you couldn't factor for, and so I became aware of the existence of these other texts. When I landed back in this text, having been nudged ever slightly off course by those collisions, I became aware of it. I was a half step out of sync with reality, existing partially between its very words. I imagine anyone else would have just slotted back into place and continued on the path you had set for them. But being dyslexic, I was uniquely equipped to recognize these blurry, mixed-up in-between spaces. I kept one foot in the text, playing along, but all the while learning about it, learning about myself, finding its weaknesses, searching for its seams. And I found the seams. So it seems, Dirk mumbled to himself, unable to resist. But that's not all, Anna continued. Passing through those other texts awoke another power in me, even more significant than the dyslexia. The other texts? Dirk interrupted. The metaphorical gears that were frantically spinning in his head apparently needed more lubrication. You keep talking about other texts surrounding this one, but what are they? Is it some kind of bookshelf metaphor? Are they the other Pony Pal books? Or... The gears were squeaking more and more loudly. You just love your little illusions, don't you, Dirk? Anna said. Gotta make sure everyone knows how well read you are. God forbid someone think you don't have any Baudelaire memorized, right? Fuck. C'est que notre âme est là, n'est pas assez hardie, Pam whispered. I didn't know you spoke French, Pawnee whispered back. I don't... It seems like you figured it out already, Anna said, but for the sake of my chatty friends behind me, I'll spell it out. I passed through everything, every poem, every novel, every essay that you quoted or paraphrased or just plain stole from, and as I passed through, little bits of them got stuck in me like splinters. And now you can commune with them, or channel them, or become them? Dirk said. Anna shrugged. Again, more or less right. I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know that it's not the texts themselves, it's the characters. She tapped her head. I've got a couple hundred guests in here with me right now. Some of them are totally useless. Fucking Prufrock, am I right? And some are downright holding me back. Looking at you, Underground Man. But you were also kind enough to give me a couple aces in the hole. Claudius, who you gave me just a few minutes ago with your dumb nutshell joke, thanks for that, is a son of a bitch, but he gets shit done. Lenore gets power from absence, which is a little tricky to apply, but pretty damn useful once you figure it out. John Shade and company are mixed bag, I'll leave it at that, lest the poor king and that bigger, more respectable, more competent glassmakers slither their way in here. Hell, speaking of mixed bags, the entire goddamn Bible!